So I would like to give this video shout out to Clifford Padilla. Clifford Padilla is the first person that I really connected with online when I left the ICOC. I joined one of those ICOC recovering groups and me and him just clicked, and he's been watching my channel, he's been watching my videos from day one, so big shout out to you. Hello everyone, I'm Tina Marie J. Today I want to talk about narcissism, friendships, and leaving the ICOC. How does all of this intertwine? I will tell you right now. For those of you who don't know, I was a member of the ICOC for 7 years. I'm actually going on 3 years since I have left that church. As you guys know, if you were a member or if you are currently a member, relationships in the church is very important. I mean, of course, in any church, relationships should be of importance, but especially in the ICOC, relationships, friendships within the church alone is very important. Some people don't really know or don't realize it when they leave the church. Sometimes it can affect the relationships that they build on the outside. So for me, when I left the ICOC, it did affect the type of friendships and relationships I had on the outside, even though my choice in friends have always been really crappy. Like, I can be friends with someone and then they can end up being a crappy friend, and I give and give and give so much of myself into friendships, and then I come out of it and I'm drained and I'm like, I'm done with you. I realized that the type of friendships that I was having and the type of relationships that I was building was not very healthy for me. I had this one friend who I became extremely close with. We were just so compatible. Like, we were just so much alike. The only difference was the way that she thought, the way that she saw things. It wasn't in the way that I would. She had a very cocky thing going on with her, and I don't like cocky people, but it was in a very strange, hard to describe, manipulative kind of way, where she always wanted things to go her way and she didn't seem to care about anyone else but herself. So narcissism is basically a personality. The person usually is very self-centered, everything's about them, everything revolves around them, and they don't care. Narcissists usually just are so much about themselves that anything or anyone else around them is just, it doesn't matter. They also could be very manipulative, and this is what the friendship that I had was like. It was very manipulative. She was very good at belittling me. She was very good at trying to put me down, but it was in a very slick way, kind of like throwing it in, a little side comment here, a little side comment there. I'm very opposite. I'm very empathetic. I'm very sensitive. And I take in other people's energies and just energies around me very easily. So that affects me greatly. Whereas with this person, she just was like, I don't give a crap type of person. So that relationship ended up dying out because I realized that I did not want to have friendships that were like that anymore. I didn't want to have friendships that mirrored that type of friendship. I did not want to continue to be someone's little poodle in a handbag because she just wanted to say, oh, Tina's my friend, but then treat me like crap at the end of the day. I got tired of it. I snapped out of it, and I was like, hell no. I'd rather be friendless, and that's exactly what I did. How does this tie into me leaving the ICOC? When I was a part of the ICOC, I did realize that there were fake friendships, very made up friendships, not organic at all. I felt like a lot of the friendships I had were very manipulative, and sometimes I felt shame and guilt. Everything that the other person would say to me, the advice I was given was right just because it came from them, just because they were part of the church for longer, just because they were older, they were wiser, they were a Christian for longer. So that really affected me when I left. So I just real quickly, before we continue, want to look up the traits of narcissism and see how it relates to the ICOC. So I looked it up on Google, and it says the signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder are grandiose sense of self-importance, lives in a fantasy world that supports their delusions or grandeur, needs constant praise and admiration, sense of entitlement, exploits others without guilt or shame, frequently demeans, intimidates, bullies, or belittles others. So I do want to be fair. I'm not going to just say oh, the ICOC does all of these things and they're very self-centered, they belittle people, they want people to feel like crap. They do those things, yes. But they don't do it in a way like it's intentionally to harm or hurt anyone. They do it really thinking that they're doing the right thing, thinking, I'm just trying to help this person get closer to God. Meanwhile, the things that they say at times, like when they pull you over, the pullover sessions I spoke about before, where they pull you to the side and want to talk to you and advise you on something that they think that you're doing wrong. Sometimes they can say things during those little pullover sessions. They want to talk about something that's going on or something they feel of concern when it comes to you. Sometimes they may make comments that may feel belittling. It may feel like they're trying to throw guilt and shame on you. It almost feels as though they really believe that they're always right and they really believe that they're just the one. I will not say that every member in the ICOC thinks this way. I will not say that this is a trait that every member has, because that's like basically putting everyone in a box. But a majority of ICOC members do think this way. Now, if you take a look through the comment sections, you will find some people, every now and then, they'll be kind of like roaches, like they just kind of creep in the comment section, even though they are members of the ICOC and they're supposedly happy in the church. And in their comments, you can see the arrogance. I don't know what she's talking about. We're the best church and we're this and so when it comes to that is where the sense of self-admiration, they admire themselves so much that anyone who attends their services, even as a visitor, must admire them also. They feel like, we know what we're doing. We've got this down pat. We're the one true church. We come here. We're here for God. What other church do you know does that? That right there relates a little bit to narcissism. So I don't want to go as far as to say that they are definitely narcissistic, even though I have heard people say that they believe the ICOC are narcissists. But I will say that they definitely do carry certain traits of narcissism in their own strange way. They definitely do. I have spoken to people and I have coached people who had a hard time building friendships. Either they didn't build friendships at all, or they tried to build friendships, but they find that their friendships were not healthy. They were toxic. They were more kind of like the friendship that I had, where it was almost like you're like the shadow of the other person. Everything that this person says or does, they may have a way of getting over on you. They may be able to manipulate you or make you feel guilty or make you second guess yourself. I'm not saying this happens to everyone who leaves, but a lot of people who are a part of the ICOC and ends up leaving, you kind of need like a strong backbone. You have to learn how to build that, especially if you didn't have it before you joined the church. Before I joined the church, I never really liked or allowed people to talk down to me. And I was never the person who says yes to everything. But when I joined the church, I was taught to simmer it down, to submit, to listen, to obey, to respect people who know more than me when it comes to Christianity because they've been Christian longer. And so when I left, I didn't realize it was like not intentional. I actually carried that with me out the door, and I ended up getting into these friendships with people where, even though yes, I'm a strong-willed person, that's part of my personality, is how I was actually raised, I also was easy to manipulate. I became a little bit naive. I kind of, in my opinion, dumbed down a little bit. And so when I realized my friendship somehow causes a lot of triggers within me that reminds me of the ICOC. I could not put my finger on it. I could not think, what is it about this woman? What is it about this friendship I have with her that triggers me, that makes me feel less than, that makes me feel the way I felt when I was in that church? So when I finally realized what it was, I was like, hold up. I'm not doing this. There's no way in hell I am not doing this. I don't want this video to sound confusing. I'm trying my best to put it in words. If you've not gone through this, then you might not understand exactly what I'm talking about. I don't really talk about this much, building friendships and relationships outside of the church. and how it can affect your friendships outside the church. So I figured like this would be a good video to do that with. If you find yourself in a similar situation, or if you personally feel like you're having a hard time building friendships, or you feel like you're in a relationship or in a friendship that seems narcissistic traits, or it triggers you and it makes you think about the ICOC in some way and you just can't put your finger on it, think a little bit deeper. Like really search a little deeper. It could be that you are still kind of like a pawn to somebody else, and they are using certain techniques and finding certain ways to manipulate you just to get their way, just so that they can take the shine to make you feel like you're less than. Think to yourself, what kind of friendships am I building? What kind of people do I have around me? Are they putting me down? Do I feel less than? Do I feel like I have to doubt or second guess myself? Is this person belittling me? And so when you are in a friendship outside of the church with someone who has this puff in their chest, or everything is about them. Whatever we do today is what you want to do. Wherever we go is where you want to go. If I don't want to do something, you got to make me feel like crap for not wanting to do it. You don't want to be friends with people like that. Everything tends to be about them. So you really want to think, if this is triggering me, is this something that I need to let go of? Is this something that might relate to my experience in the church? Building friendships after leaving any cult is very difficult for anyone. It's not easy because you got to build trust. You can't have friendships without trust. And that's something we'll go more into, because that is something that I'm finally starting to work on almost 3 years later, and I'm just now starting to work on building the trust. And it's a little weird for me because right now I'm finally building, like, I guess you could call it friendships, like the beginning stages, even though generally I love to be out in the crowd. I love to be out with the people. I love to get to know people. I'm not shy. But being in that church definitely changed certain things about me. And then on top of that, having a friendship like the one that I had just made things even worse. And so the trust is like, poof, goodbye. Where is it? Never saw it before. That is all for this video. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, send me an email. I will definitely get back to you. It may not be right away, but I will definitely get back to you. My email and my website is down below in the description box. If you haven't yet joined my Beautiful Souls group, for anyone who just recently left any cult or the ICOC, if you have any questions or if you just want to connect with me, I'm on social media on Instagram, Facebook, that's also down below. Feel free to add me. I will follow you back. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your day. I love you guys all so much. Bye.